Chapter 1. Why Monarch Butterflies Are Special? All butterflies have been looked upon as special because of their beauty. However, the monarch butterfly species is also called the symbol of hope. Many medical organizations use the monarch as a logo in their mission statement in order to focus on hope, restoration, and renewal. Out of the 250,000 species of butterflies and moths in the world, and the 750 species in the United States, the most well-known and loved is the monarch. Some say they are the most beautiful butterflies in the world because of their bright orange coloring, but there is so much more to their beauty. Why do people love the monarch? Besides their beauty and amazing stages of transformation, their phenomenal migration is like no other in the world and is recognized as one of the wonders of nature. They even have an economic value in the travel and touring business. Many people love to visit California and Mexico to see the monarchs as they hibernate in trees for the winter. They are the most recognizable butterflies in North America. The monarch has different meanings around the world, but to the Native Americans, for centuries, they have symbolized transformation and rebirth. Some Native Americans believe that if you have a secret wish, capturing a butterfly and whispering your wish into its antenna will lead the butterfly to a great spirit, and then your secret will be granted. In Australia, the monarch is a symbol that life is short, or that life must be valued. In Japan, butterflies represent young women finding bliss when they marry, and so the butterfly is in many of the family crests. In Mexico, the long migration of the monarchs has a significant meaning. It is believed the monarchs are the spirits of their dead loved ones returning and are happily celebrated during the holiday Day of the Dead. They believe that if someone removes a dead monarch that has fallen from a tree, they are disrupting the soul of a deceased one by taking it from its final resting place. Some countries do not have such superstitious beliefs and feel that butterflies are witches or demons in disguise. However, it was common that many ancient cultures believed butterflies to represent rebirth after letting go of long-held beliefs or behavior, and this still is true of many cultures today. The Monarch Look. Monarchs are famous for their look of beauty that attracts so many followers. Maybe it's their tawny orange wings trimmed with black veins and white spots along the edges of the wings that stand out so well. Both the adults and the caterpillars have aposematic coloration, which means that their bright colors signal to potential predators that they are dangerous to eat because of the toxins they carry. Actually, all butterfly wings are transparent with layers of chitin, which is the protein that makes up an insect's exoskeleton. The layers are so thin that you can see through them depending on the light. There are thousands of tiny scales that cover the transparent chitin, and it is these scales that reflect light in different colors. When the butterfly ages, some scales fall off the wings, and spots of transparency are exposed. Another interesting thing about butterflies is that they taste with their feet. Their feet are armed with receptors that allow this ability. When a female looks for different plants to place her eggs, she drums on the leaves with her feet to make the plant release juices that tell her what kind it is through the chemoreceptors on the back of her legs that detect the plant chemicals. It's not noticeable, but the male is a bit larger and has thinner veins than the female. He also has a black spot on the center of each hind wing. This is a scent gland used to attract females. This makes us wonder if each monarch has a different scent because, with all those females to attract, each male must smell a little different. The underside of both male and female is a lighter and duller color of orange-brown. The monarch does not have multicolored wings that are sometimes shown online. Those photos may be gorgeous, but they have been manipulated with photo software to change the colors. The monarchs have a wingspan of 8.9 to 10.2 centimeters, 3.5 to 4 inches, with a weight of less than a gram. The difference in size depends on what region of the country they reside. The monarchs that migrate to California have wings that are just a fraction smaller. The late summer or early fall generation that migrates to Mexico is usually larger and heavier, since they eat more in preparation for the long flight. The females must go nuts over those guys. They have a black body, 2 black antennae, and 6 black legs. They mostly use the 4 back ones, since the front 2 legs are smaller. The viceroy butterfly is often mistaken for a monarch due to its similar colors, but it is smaller and has an extra black stripe that goes over its hind wings. Are there other colors besides orange? The only other color variation of monarchs is white with black veins and body markings, just like the orange one. This one is called nivosis. It has been found in several countries such as Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, and some states in the United States, and is extremely rare, with only a few being reported each year, except for Hawaii, where they make up 10% of the monarch population. It is thought to be a variation of a certain gene inherited from their ancestors that make them white, but studies are still being done to find out other factors involved. Why are monarchs important to science? Monarchs are also special because they can shape our ecosystem along with other pollinators. They act as a food source for other animals and as pollinators, also called connectors. Since almost 90% of plant life needs a pollinator to reproduce, the butterfly becomes more and more vital as the bee population drops. Back in the 16th century, a young woman revolutionized science by getting society to pay attention to insects. Her name was Maria Sibylla Merian, and she created beautiful paintings of butterflies and their life cycles. She convinced scientists that insects should be viewed as friends, rather than the beasts of the devil, as they were thought to be at that time period. Today, these amazing insects are incredibly important to the ecosystem. Their feeding, reproduction, and daily life all have an effect on other species, including humans. With the decline of butterfly populations, it is important to understand the effect that the loss of the butterflies will have on the Earth. It would be a common case of the butterfly effect, or the idea that small causes can have large effects, which was used mostly for weather prediction, but later on became a metaphor used in and out of science. More on this in Chapter 6. Butterflies are also used by ecologists to study the impact of climate change. Butterflies are important to scientists for studying ways to keep our ecosystem clean. This affects our air, soil, weather, and other wildlife. History of the monarch. The existence of the monarch has been traced back as far as 2 million years ago and originated in the American tropics. Currently, they are distributed from Canada to northeastern Argentina, as well as in Australia, New Zealand, Spain, and the Pacific Island area. Some believe that the monarch may have been named after King William III of England. In 1758, the butterfly was described in the writings of Carl Linnaeus, best known for developing taxonomy, or the classification of organisms we use today. Even though scientists and others knew about how the monarch left home in the fall, it was a mystery as to where they went, and it wasn't until the 1930s that scientists started tracking the monarch's migration. Where is the monarch from? The monarch has been found in Australia since the 1870s and is known there as the wanderer butterfly. Even though they are known for their long-distant migrations in America, in Australia they just make short trips when necessary because it is relatively warm all year round. It is believed by plant specialists of the Australians that the monarch, or wanderer, arrived shortly after two types of the milkweed plants arrived, one from southern tropical Africa, Gomphocarpus species, and one from the Bahamas of the Caribbean, Asclepias species, most likely by ship, and perhaps as a houseplant, since they have such colorful flowers. The wanderer or monarch could have then been transported to America by ship also. Once the wanderer realized the abundance of milkweed that grew there, they decided to stay. If the monarch originated in the tropics, this would certainly explain why they cannot withstand the freezing cold and have to migrate to warmer climates every year. And because they love the milkweed, a bitter-tasting plant, the monarch or wanderer is called a flying weed by the Australians in jest. As of recent, the milkweeds are growing strong, so the monarch population is also increasing along the eastern coast of Australia. The meaning of the name. The monarch butterfly has been considered the king of butterflies because of its majestic beauty, bravery, and popularity throughout the centuries. Apparently, that is why they are called a monarch, given a name fit for a king. It was given the official scientific name Danaus plexippus, in the family of Duninae, a subfamily of Nymphalidae, from the order Lepidoptera. Danaus was a Greek mythological king of Libya or Egypt, and great-grandson of Zeus, who founded Argos. Plexippus was among the 50 sons of Aegyptus, the twin brother of Danaus. That's where the name of Danaus plexippus may have come from, and means, in Greek, sleepy transformation, which is fitting, as they sleep through their transformation in the pupa stage. They are also known as the milkweed butterfly, the common tiger, the wanderer, and the black-veined brown, depending on the region they reside. The monarch's purpose in life. Besides gracing us with their wondrous beauty, the monarch's purpose is to be a pollinator for certain flowers of fruits, nuts, and vegetables that we eat. Bees do most of the pollination, but normally in a smaller area, whereas the butterflies can pollinate longer distances and are able to pollinate flowers that the bees cannot get to because of the shape of the flower, or because they don't recognize colors of flowers, like butterflies can do. What is a pollinator? A pollinator is any animal that causes pollination to occur by moving the pollen while they are usually in search for nectar or pollen to eat, and accidentally brushing up against the flower's male anthers of one flower, and then transfers it to the female stigma of another flower. This causes fertilization so that the plant can produce an edible product, such as fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Many plants cannot produce without pollen carried to them by a pollinator. There is about 35% of the world's food crops that depend on pollinators to reproduce. Flowers make up even more, with about 3/4 of the world's flowering plants needing to be pollinated. Pollinators are responsible for 1 out of 3 bites of food that we eat each day. So how drab would it be eating without all the vast varieties that we have to choose from nowadays? Besides butterflies, there are several types of animals that are pollinators, such as hummingbirds, sunbirds, and honey eaters. There are other pollinators that most people would not have guessed, such as bats, wasps, flies, beetles, lizards, possums, rodents, lemurs, and even some monkeys. None of these do as much pollinating as the bees and butterflies, though.